So, here's the story. 2 Volkswagens, Polo GTI and Up. I've only got time to film one of them, so the boys have told me I need to come up with a fair and accessible method to figure out which one. And I think I have the most universally acknowledged method of choosing between one from t'other. It did, sky blue, who's it? Not you. Not because you're dirty, not because you're clean. My mum says you're the fairy queen, so out you must go. Ah. Guys, can we do it again? Damn it. Right. Time then, ladies and gentlemen, for an episode of Honey, I Shrunk the Polo. And I'll cut straight to the chase by pointing out that one thing you can say about the Volkswagen Up is that it's very simple. See, what effectively Volkswagen have done with this car is they've taken 21st century thinking and gone back a bit. It's almost as if somebody stumbled upon an early draft of the Golf from like 1993 and said, oh yeah, I remember how we made that. Surely we could put these plans to good use again somehow. Okay, nerds, time for some stats. Horsepower, 59. Yeah, it is only 59 brake horsepower, I'm afraid. It's not powerful. But top speed, 99 miles an hour. Yeah, you can't even hit 100 miles an hour in this particular car. The newer versions, you can, but 99 miles an hour, that's all you're going to get out of this baby. 0 to 60 though, yeah, it's 14.4. I'm not exactly selling it to its best advantage by listing those numbers. So I will start listing some numbers that do sell it to its best advantage. 105 grams of CO2 per kilometre. Every vegan watching just pricked up their ears. Really? And get this, for miles to the gallon. 78.5 miles to the gallon. The engine is the size of a postage stamp. That is amazing. And that's enough to make me reconsider my entire philosophy on small, tiny city cars. The thing with city car culture and tiny car culture is they're supposed to be this small. We're going into a culture where small is good. Small is very friendly for town councils and all these newfangled laws and blah, 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 blah. These people who are making all these legislations about cars are starting to sound like the teachers in Peanuts. But I do get it. I do understand it, honest. There is something quite sensible about these tiny cars that are popping up all over the place, and I do kind of get it. And it's interesting how different car manufacturers have gone in slightly different directions with a similar idea. Fiat have given us the 500 again. Toyota have come up with the IQ, which is a bit like a shoebox with wheels. Then you've got the Mini, the new one, which is not really a Mini at all, it's actually a Maxi. Then you've got these Citroen C1s that are popping up all over the place. And then I noticed that Volkswagen were joining the party, and I already thought they had a small car in the Polo. I thought, you don't really need to go much smaller than that. But no, Volkswagen proved that you can. This is probably the smallest Volkswagen they have built since the Beetle. And that's ironic because if Adolf Hitler had today's technology, I think the Beetle would actually have turned out looking more like this than the Beetle. So, I've come to Wickford to put the Volkswagen Up in its natural habitat, a town centre plagued with queues and hold-ups, where traffic jams are measured by the length of a driver's beard. See, even here, in the stop and start of town driving, I should be getting really irritated now. I should be getting, come on, come on! And in this, I'm just chilled. The radio's good quality, considering that this is an incredibly small car. It's good, you know, it's not average even, it's good. It genuinely is good. So there's plenty of alternatives to the city car if you want to go for a particular brand. Pretty much all of the major manufacturers are doing a city car brand. But the funny thing with Volkswagen is the Polo was kind of already in that category. But what they've done is they've gone, do you know what? No, we can be more efficient. We can be more economical. And with this, they've done it. It's quite incredible, really. Because this thing is incredibly small, incredibly lightweight. The engine is no bigger than a small model of a traction engine. Yes, I know it'll only do 99 miles an hour. Yes, I know there's only 59 brake horsepower. But it's alright, I don't notice its deficiencies. And that, after it all, is the quality of a good car. If you can't notice its flaws anymore, then it's done its job.
So somehow Volkswagen have made reasonable exciting. So who is this car actually for then?
This is for, well, I'm not sure which generation this actually seems to fall into, because it's got an older person's feel to it. It's not complicated, it's a very simple, basic car. And because the gear shift is actually in the right place, it's more fun than a Mercedes CLA to drive. But considering that we film these programs on British roads rather than in the countryside and foreign climes of the Top Gears and Grand Tours and Fifth Gears of this world, we have to look at it from a realistic point of view. And on the British roads, there aren't too many cars that are really suited to driving on British roads because of the way that driving and motoring in the country has evolved. And of the options we've got, Volkswagen have thought about it in a very intellectual manner, actually. In Europe, the Volkswagen Up is actually assembled in Bratislava, in Slovakia. Elsewhere in Europe, it's also known as the Seat Me or the Skoda Citigo. So at least we're keeping the brand names flowing around the world, eh? But another thing that's going to make people really impressed with this is that Euro NCAP tested this and it got a 5-star safety rating.
And to make my next point, I'm afraid I'm going to have to pull over.
Looking at this car on face value, this is just about the most basic car I have seen in the 21st century. So, why don't I hate it? I mean, a thing that is this bog standard and this basic and this unflashy is practically an abomination anytime after 1996. And yet it works. It works brilliantly. I mean, the Europeans absolutely love this car. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Well, that's partially because it's a car that isn't powered by sliced bread. Now, you're sitting there thinking, if this car is so small and so slow and so underpowered, then why does everybody keep talking about them? Well, it's a Volkswagen, and the modern Volkswagen is incredibly cool. And this is incredibly cool. This is the cool alternative to the tiny city car. They've actually conquered something pretty special with this. Which is why in the first year of production, they sold 113,000 of these. That is pretty good stats for a brand new first car out the block. The thing I like about this as well is this is pretty much the 2017 version of the original concept of the Volkswagen Beetle. It is cheap and cheerful, there's barely anything to it, but it's affordable. It's cheap to run, cheap to insure, cheap to tax, because it doesn't cost a penny to tax it. It is genuinely the literal translation of Volkswagen, a people's car. It's great, it does exactly what it says on the tin. And word from Volkswagen is they've realised that there are some people who like the Up so much that they want it to be a little bit more fun. So the people at Wolfsburg have got their heads together and they're actually making a GTI version of this, which is coming out in 2018. This is as good as it is with 59 brake horsepower. What's a GTI version of this going to be like? There's a rather pleasing moral to this story. Never judge a book by its cover. I thought the Volkswagen Up would be pathetic, woeful, sluggish, inadequate. It turns out it's the complete opposite of all of those things. It's almost weird this is a German car because it feels British. It is the plucky underdog fighting through and winning everybody over. It's Leicester City in the Premiership. And every now and then, the underdogs surprise you.
And of course, the Up is the next step to getting your first Polo. I might have some unfinished business with Volkswagen.